This is typical legislation, though. Like, they'd always do stuff like that. They just try to sneak in things or, like, put a poison pill in something that people want, but then it means they have to pass all this other shit. So I'm looking at a table of contents that's directing me to where the table of contents is. Individuals earning between $75,000 and $99,000 get smaller checks. How small? Why won't they say? Smaller than 600? I'm sure it's really useful for them. I can't even imagine making $75,000 a year. I would feel like a king. This NPR article is only picking out the stuff that can be spun like even remotely in a nice way. They're not talking about any.
No, I think they're talking about the stuff directly in the coronavirus, like relief provisions of the bill. Whereas people on Twitter are talking about stuff that's part of H.R. 133, but they're not talking about the coronavirus thing. And part of me feels like the Twitter approach is kind of bad faith.
It's not, though, because they knew what they're doing. They know they're passing all this other stuff when they pass this stuff. And this stuff is not even very good. It's not like they don't know. It's not like they got tricked. And the thing was the original bill was written by a Democrat. It wasn't like the evil Republicans are holding them hostage. I mean, my position is you don't get to talk about the quote unquote good things the bill is doing without factoring in all the bad shit that it's passing along with it. So I don't think it's in bad faith to point out the shitty stuff.
But I don't know if all this stuff is bad. Other than they're just grouped together and people are mad that that money's not going directly to coronavirus relief. But the thing is, I don't know what the other money's going towards, and maybe that stuff's important too.
$500 million to Israel is important right now? You think they're spending that on health and feeding, clothing the poor? I have a feeling they're not. In fact, I know they're not, because part of the provision was to help them like build up a fucking missile defense system. That's what that money is going for.
Yeah, and I guess there's the
you like the part that makes streaming a federal offense punishable up to 10 years. I don't like that. I don't like that. Well, I was going to say my tax money, but whatever. I've paid taxes for a long time in the U.S.
Yeah, no, I don't like this stuff. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I find this stuff confusing. I don't know why this is the best bill that could have been passed. I don't think it was the best bill that could have been passed.
Of course not. Obviously not. I mean, even if it had a $3,000 a month stimulus for the next year, which would be amazing, it still wouldn't make all of this other crap that they're pushing through forgivable. You know, the fact is that they're giving people like a fucking slap in the face. It's almost worse than giving people nothing, honestly.
But I think the thing that NPR is doing, they're literally just talking about the amendment called the coronavirus relief provisions.
I know they are. But they're also
details most people are interested in.
I think people would like to know if they summarized in clear language that we're paying $500 million for Israel's defense, missile defense system. People want to know about that. It's like a lie by omission is the way I read it. And it's not just NPR, of course. It's every other major news source. Like NBC's website has the same list here that NPR does.
I guess what I was meant, not that I agree with where all this money's going. It's more of, I think this bill, the H.R. 133, was going to be passed no matter what. and the amendment was just tacked on because they knew it was going to be passed. I don't know. Like,
that's a very rosy outlook. And you say pass no matter what, but like that's taking the responsibility off of the people who could stop it. If it's bad, if there's something wrong with it, which to me it looks like there very much is. I see it almost as the other way around. Is there like, if we cram in the corona stuff and just call it the corona bill and the H.E.R.O.E.S bill instead of calling it what it really is, which is it started off as this Mexico-U.S. relations bill.
Why it also includes 500 million to Israel, or the 40 million or whatever going to Venezuela to help overthrow their government. I mean, it's confusing.
It's deliberately confusing so they can do all kinds of fucking nefarious shit. And the other thing is, they quickly suddenly they're in a rush to get it relief passed, just like they were with the CARES Act, because they had to do it fast so nobody could, so the public couldn't really see what was going on in the bill. So they just shoved it through really fast. I mean, that's what every even major news source will tell you, is they passed it very quickly. This suddenly agreed upon version of it. Because it has all this stuff to pick apart within it. But like, the average person is just going to read the news headline that says, Congress bipartisanly passes $900 billion to help people, and assume that means $900 billion is going to Americans in some way or another. That matters, even though we look at this $600 check that is a fucking slap in the face. And that's what I'm saying, man. This is how they always do shit. It's never the other way around, where, okay, there's this bill that has some bad stuff in it, but we're going to sneak in our good ideas here. That's not how this is being played. This is being played as, this is the Corona Freedom Bill that's going to save everyone. And then inside it, tucked away, is all the evil shit.
Yeah.
That's the way it always works. It's never the other way around.
Not that I'm excusing it, but this is like an end of the year package. It has a ton of stuff in it. Like, there's good and bad stuff in it. And they just pass shit like this all together at the same time.
There's no reason they need to do that, other than for nefarious reasons. It's not like they don't have the time. These fuckers barely work. But they don't have the time to vote on more than one bill in a day? Give me a fucking break. It's ridiculous. Oh, we can't be bothered. Just cram it all together into one giant Frankenstein bill of stuff that's totally unrelated. Fuck off. Fuck these people. They know exactly what they're doing. And they're saying that in other words, 500 million in military aid to Israel was not covertly inserted. They know damn well that, like, any normal person, any average person is not going to know that was in there. And especially they're not going to have known beforehand, before it was voted on, when they would have had a chance to democratically, exert their voice on their representatives to not vote for it. That's why they rush these things through. Okay, maybe to someone who pays close attention to daily politics, to daily Washington politics, it wasn't covertly inserted to them. But to a normal, average person, of course it was. I mean, most people aren't even... I mean, it took you and me like 15 minutes to figure out why this bill has 3 parts to it and is called like the U.S.-Mexico Relations Bill.
So much of this stuff's already in the works. And they do like have a tendency to pass a lot of end-year stuff where it's all just thrown together.
Yes, but why do they do that, Jason? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Why? Why is it like that? They can't help it? They're too busy all year? Bullshit. They take so much vacation time. Fuck these people. They know exactly what they're doing. There's a reason they do it like this every year.
Yeah.
So they can throw all the most nefarious shit together into one giant 6,000-page bill and then call it the CARES Act or the H.E.R.O.E.S Act, whatever, So even if you were just looking at the coronavirus stuff, it's a failure. But then when you take into the account that like the other over 5,000 pages are not anything to do with coronavirus relief, and then you take a look into what the details are, and it's shit like this, like building new missiles for Israel. Even if you're like even if you're like the most pro-Israel person in the world, this should be offensive to you in a time of like crisis if people are only getting $600 checks.
He walked out in the gray light and stood, and he saw for a brief moment the absolute truth of the world. The cold, relentless circling of the intestate earth. Darkness implacable. The blind dogs of the sun in their running. The crushing black vacuum of the universe. And somewhere 200 animals trembling like ground foxes in their cover. Borrowed time and borrowed world and borrowed eyes with which to sorrow it.
And lo, for the earth was empty of form, and void, and darkness was all over the face of the deep, and we said, look at that fucker dance.
Welcome to Heat Death of the Universe. I've noticed that I've become more robotic each time I say that. I don't know why. It is a glorious Wednesday afternoon, December 23rd, 2020. It is 12:41 p.m. And we are coming at you via Zoom once again, because the lockdown has gone up in severity recently. Starting just today, actually. No more than 5 people can congregate.
We're at level 2.8.
Is that what it is?
No. We're still at level 2.
What if they just go up to 2.99 because they don't want to go to level 3 and actually shut down like everything?
Some people say that they don't want to go to 3 because then it could imply there's a level 4, and Koreans are afraid of the number 4.
Which is true, that the number 4 being a suspicious number part, but yeah, that's a good joke. I mean, yeah. Anyway, we've talked about this before. But what's the biggest news going on today? I think it is probably this at least in U.S. terms, it's the recent passing of this H.E.R.O.E.S Act bill, which that's more of a nickname than anything else, from what I can tell. Or what is it? What did we determine? I don't want to get too bogged down in the technical shit we were just going on and on about. Sort of off mic, but
HR 133.
The H.E.R.O.E.S Act is something embedded in this much larger, what is it? Omnibus? Omnibill?
Call it an omnibus spending bill, which I guess is like a term for an end of the year spending bill.
Yeah, so it's crammed in there with a ton of other shit. I guess the first notable thing to point out is that there are direct payments. Yay! Do you think they're probably for more than last time? Are they going to be? It's more than just a one-time check.
Yeah, they're going to backlog it and make sure Americans are treated at least as well as Canadians. So they're going to add
So we get what, like $2,500 a month for the foreseeable future until all the vaccinations wipe the thing out.
Yeah, I think so, and I think they'll back pay us too. They'll get us for like the past,
8 months.
8 months. They're just going to direct deposit.
No, 9 months, right? Wait, when? Yeah, the CARES Act thing. The first stimulus check came out in March, right? Or April, end of March, beginning of April, something like that.
They're just going to direct deposit like $10,800 into everyone's bank account.
Another really, really weird synchronicity, weird timing thing is how you just got your stimulus check from March, literally the day. Well, okay, it was Monday here in Korea when you got it. So it's but it was more or less the same day that they've just passed this more recent bill.
Yeah, I'm rich now.
So I'm guessing you're going to get your $600. So let's get into reality here. It's $600. Is it per household or per individual? I can't remember.
Individual.
Okay.
That's my PlayStation 5 fund. That's $600.
And the evil Dracula Mnuchin has said that the payments will start going out as soon as next week, even though Trump has not signed it into law.
Trump seems happy with the law.
Trump is not happy. Trump is actually demanding that they go up to $2,000 per individual, $4,000 per household. Yeah, he's demanding an amendment to it. Where's
Joe Biden's demand? Why is it Joe Biden demanding something?
Well, Joe Biden is happy with what it is.
Imagine if Joe Biden came out and was like, well, I demand $2,500, and Trump had to go bigger.
Yeah, I mean that's the mess they're afraid of, which is I don't actually know how they're going to respond, because Trump could veto this thing, and it's not like he gives a shit if it delays people getting help. I mean, in the same way that Nancy Pelosi didn't give a shit that her delaying various bills for the last,
I don't even like
what
Trump,
is it, 8 months.
I have a feeling that Trump cares more about people liking him than Nancy Pelosi cares about helping people. And what I mean by that is,
yeah, because all he cares about is people liking him, basically.
And I think I don't know where I'm going with this. Part of me thinks that maybe if anyone's going to get more money for people right now, it's going to be Trump of all fucking people.
I think what will happen, honestly, is because the Republicans, the people that supposedly support Trump, which they don't really. It's only when it was convenient.
Yeah,
they're not going to just do what he said. I mean, like there was some news story quite recently as well, where like top Trump aides were telling him to just like shut up, like don't talk about this $2,000 check idea, because it's gonna it will actually like ruin the existing bill. The truly meager crumbs. I mean, like they've literally cut in half what was already inadequate. 1,200 was inadequate. I mean, what was the thing I sent you yesterday showing like the average spending of like an average household in America per month?
I mean,
like, go on.
Well, the average spending is $4,800 per month.
Yeah, and there's more detailed ways of analyzing the cost of living and the monthly spending, but I think you don't have to be a math genius to just use. I mean, the common sense would tell you $600 a month is not going to help anybody. Not really.
A month? You mean a year?
Well, right, because this is only set for 1 month. And the shit that Pelosi's been saying is like, it's a first step. We would have liked a larger number than 600. It's like, well, then why didn't you push for it? You didn't even try. But her rationale seems to be, but we're going to have a new president soon, and then we're not going to have to worry about this stuff anymore. So what she's essentially saying is, because Joe Biden, quote unquote, listens to science, coronavirus won't be a problem in another month, which is absurd. Like, even if you believe that the vaccines that are out now, that exist, that are being circulated, mainly circulated to elite people, I've noticed, which is something else we're going to get into later. But did you see like Pelosi and Biden and Pence and Trump must have gotten the vaccine. Netanyahu, I saw getting his vaccine publicly. And, I get it. Like, in a way, like they're doing it to show like these are safe, like you can trust us. Like it's basically trying to preempt the anti-vax people, I guess.
Like,
but I mean, like true anti-vax people are going to look at that footage anyway and be like, oh, that's fake. That's fake. They're just trying to trick us. So ultimately in the end, it doesn't persuade anyone that was already skeptical, I don't think. And to me, it just looks like elitist people rubbing it in our faces because, maybe we can just like, this is just as a sort of side story, but, we're already seeing like how elite institutions are not giving the vaccines to frontline workers. So there were these protests at Stanford Medical, where, let's see here, where basically the people who are being prioritized first there at Stanford are like administrative people who work from home and like professors who work from home, or like doctors who can do their practices like via Zoom, like assessing people's medical needs or whatever. But not like nurses and doctors who are working like 60, 80-hour shifts with people with coronavirus.
No,
they're secondary.
They vaccinated 7 of them.
Right. They did. They vaccinated 7 of the frontline workers.
They got 7 of the residents and fellows.
And how many are there? I did see the number in one of these articles.
They had 3,900 doses, and they've given out 1,340.
Now I'm talking about how many people work at Stanford on the front lines, and I think it's quite a bit.
1,349.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying the number of doses available.
The doses available were 3,900.
Right, I see here now. Yeah, so 7 out of 1,349 frontline workers have gotten the vaccine, and protesters said that the medical professionals who received first rounds of the vaccine included orthopedic surgeons, nurses treating outpatients, and a dermatologist. Senior faculty members who do not have as much contact with COVID-19 patients as some of the frontline workers. So yeah, they're understandably pissed off and protesting. And Stanford's response has basically been to issue like a limp apology and like not really do anything concrete about it, as far as I can tell. Where is it? I think I got it here. Yeah, Stanford apologizes after vaccine allocation leaves out nearly all medical residents. Stanford Medicine apologized on Friday for its vaccine distribution plan, a plan that came under fire for leaving out nearly all of its medical residents and fellows, many who regularly treat COVID-19 patients. The residents waged a protest on Friday morning, holding signs and demanding answers from Stanford's leadership, and why just 7 of more than 1,300 residents at Stanford were selected to receive the vaccine in the first round of 5,000 doses. A council composed of the chief residents sent a letter to Stanford's leadership on Thursday night expressing anger and disappointment as they had learned that residents and fellows would not be a priority in the first allocation. Residents are doctors in training who have graduated from medical school. Thanks for that. Okay, after Friday's protests and subsequent media attention, the leaders of Stanford Healthcare and Stanford School of Medicine sent an email to staff that apologized for the debacle. We are writing to acknowledge the significant concerns expressed by our community regarding the development and execution of our vaccine distribution plan. We take complete responsibility and profusely apologize to all of you. We fully recognize we should have acted more swiftly to address the errors that resulted in an outcome we did not anticipate. So in other words, they're saying, whoops, we didn't do it on purpose. How? How is that possible? Way to take responsibility, guys. We are working quickly to address the flaws in our plan and develop a revised version, the executives and deans wrote. They said they anticipate being able to vaccinate, quote, a substantial segment of our community once a larger shipment of vaccines arrives. Okay, so...
To me, it seems that you would just go ahead and vaccinate all of your medical workers first.
Yeah, of course. This is ridiculous. And
I don't know how Stanford Hospital works. My one friend who's a doctor, I think I only have one friend that's a doctor. She's been vaccinated, but she doesn't work for this hospital, obviously, or this university.
Yeah, and it wouldn't shock me if this same kind of thing is happening in other hospitals and will continue to. It just seems like completely flipped on its head, like what all the plans were, All the plans said, like, the very first people to get the vaccines are going to be frontline medical workers. And already that's falling by the wayside. And we've just barely started getting the vaccines out. And the people who are really getting it first, since what? Tell me if I'm wrong, but is Joe Biden a frontline medical worker? I guess he's important because he's going to be the president. Whatever.
His wife's a doctor.
Yeah, right. Frontline, too. She works with all the COVID patients with her education degree. Stanford is just completely writing off the problem. But what they're saying is, like, they'll try to do it better when they get more vaccines. It said they had 5,000 vaccines. That seems like they still have enough left over, unless they're just giving it to, like, I don't know how many people make up the staff at Stanford Medical, but
yeah, I don't know.
It does. The numbers don't make any sense to me, but whatever. The larger point is just that, like, as anyone would have probably expected, like, the vaccines are going to go to the elites first, and they always will, and so there's that.
If you're rich, I'm sure you just go ahead and get it. You can probably just buy it from your own channel. Like, I would not be surprised if Bezos and, like...
Oh, yeah.
Those people probably already have it.
100%.
Maybe they got it even earlier.
But I'm saying, like, see, that's, like, stuff that's, like, being done, like in a clandestine way. Whereas, like, this is a major, like, university and medical institution that's just telling their frontline workers to fuck off.
That's true.
Like, very, very boldly, like, fuck you. The people who get this first are the people who don't actually even come into contact with people with COVID. They get to do work from home.
It is very important that the dean gets it first.
Yeah.
And the university president and the football coach.
The dean is making the rounds, I'm sure, all the time. So anyway, that's obviously unfair. But continuing about this stimulus bill, which, like we said, is it's a really kind of a small portion of the spending of the overall omnibus bill. And okay, there's kind of two ways you might be able to look at this whole thing, right? Which is that, so there's a lot of spending within the entire giant, like, bill of like multiple Frankenstein things, like, put together. And a lot of them are very questionable. One of the big ones that's been making the rounds is what you told me about yesterday with our friends in Israel.
Oh, the $500 million to Israel defense contracts.
Yeah.
We promised them. This was actually promised in 2016 under the Obama administration, but we made a promise that we would help them build missile defense systems, and we did promise them around $500 million, and we're finally making good on that promise from 2016 and giving our allies Israel the $500 million they need in this moment of crisis to protect themselves from missiles.
Yeah. I'm sure that money couldn't be used to, say, give people some more direct payments.
I don't know. I just assume they're going to load vaccinations in all the missiles and start shooting them at people.
Airborne vaccinations.
Yeah, they're just going to load little syringes in them. And with the new radar technology we have, we just shoot a missile, and right before it makes impact, it breaks apart, and syringes fly out and just start stabbing people.
I was picturing more like turning the vaccine into a breathable gas.
Sort of like the Joker contaminating the water supplies, only the Joker contaminating the water supplies with vaccines.
Yeah, something like that. Or like I said, in the air. So I've got another article here. The HEROES Act to give. Now, this came out last week, December 17th. HEROES Act to give, so this is before it passed, obviously, is planning to give $350 million in coronavirus aid to 50 of the richest communities nationwide, auditors reveal. And below that, should American taxpayers from lower income areas be subsidizing the lifestyles of the rich and famous? And then there's a picture of Nancy Pelosi presumably saying, yes, they should, of course. Let's just read some of this here. Within the recently updated HEROES Act, which passed $2.2 trillion in aid to keep major community programs afloat, it also allocated millions in coronavirus aid to 50 of the nation's richest communities. Auditors from Open the Books found the places listed in the Bloomberg 2020 Richest Places within the United States report received $350 billion in bailouts. In these wealthy communities, the average household income ranged from $262,988 to $525,324. Some of the top places to receive aid included number 1. So this is the richest community in the world, in America. Atherton, California, where the average income is about little over $500,000. They got $3.8 million in bailout money. And then it goes on from there. Just lists the other 50 richest places that got millions and millions in bailout money, which I can't imagine they could possibly need in any way.
I mean, it's hard to maintain a pool.
Very expensive stuff, yeah. Very, very essential and expensive.
Yeah, I know that Osteen, that dumb mega church guy, Joel Osteen.
Yeah.
He was part of the people that got a ton of bailout money, his community. So I saw that floating around. You look at his stupid house. Have you ever seen his house? His ridiculous
I think I may have. I mean,
it's absolutely ridiculous. It's just gross. A
lot of mega preachers, that kind of stuff.
He needs money, though. It's important. It's important that he has money, because otherwise poor people might have money, and that would be bad for society. Got to keep rich people secure, man.
Indeed. The place that got $3.8 million, it's one of the most affluent communities in Silicon Valley, where the average home price is $7.5 million.
Oh, is that it?
NBA star Stephen Curry and WhatsApp founder Jan Koren both live there in multi-million-dollar homes. And it goes on like that. Scarsdale, New York, where Jay-Z and Beyonce have probably one of many houses. They got $8.8 million bailout. Anyway, you get the idea. Don't need to go through all of that.
What are they? Yeah, why? Why though? Why do they need this? They don't need it, but I mean, who pushed for it?
I don't know, man. I just know that it's no accident. Like, there is incompetence in Washington for sure, but this kind of stuff is not incompetence. This is deliberate. This is like all I can think of it as, honestly, at this point, like the way that people get so like brazenly screwed over, like the $600 paltry fuck you checks and this kind of stuff, is it's like psychological warfare against the working class, the poor, and so on. It's being like, know your place. Like, you should be thankful for scraps kind of thing. And that's literally what, if you look at any mainstream news right now about this bill being passed, although it hasn't been turned into law yet, none of them are saying this is offensive. Like, the $600 check is offensive and won't help anyone. Not truly. Like, they're not the ones. It has to be fucking podcasters like you and me pointing out shit like, hey, people's average rent throughout the whole country is far more than $600 a month. So how is this going to help people that are out of a job?
Imagine if they had listened to calls to, suspend rent payments for the past 9 months. That would have actually helped more. I mean, I like the direct payment that I just got. But
yes, but
it would have been a much better net good had they just said, okay, there's no rent this year. No one's paying rent.
Yeah, but then at the same time, if you here's the simple reality is most people shouldn't be going to work in a pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, let's play, shoulda, woulda, coulda, whatever. But what should have been done within the first month of realizing, oh, this is a real threat, and we've all the evidence showing that people in top positions in the government, not just Donald Trump either, everybody was warned that this is going to be serious before it actually got super serious. You shut down everything that's not essential. And I'm going to say right now, McDonald's and fast food places are not essential. Okay. I don't know, that maybe that's an argument for a more nuanced argument to have what is truly essential in a time of pandemic. And the people that are considered essential should get gigantic bonuses. And everybody else is told stay home. You actually enforce these rules. You enforce mask restrictions when you're going into public.
Are you saying they should get bonuses like soldiers do when they go to combat zones?
Yeah, I guess, but even more so than that. If you're working in a big warehouse or something, say Amazon, they probably would consider Amazon essential because everyone would be ordering stuff.
Sure.
But then you give them real, proper, safe work conditions and a ton of extra money for risking their health. And they become we treat them as heroes the way that people treated firemen after 9/11. You know what I mean? And then you shut basically everything down. And if you do that, you probably wouldn't have to shut everything down for that long. I mean, there's a case study on this. It's called "What Did China Do?" Look at where China, and people say they're authoritarian. That's wrong. We shouldn't just make people stay home. But it works. That's the only, look at the pile of bodies that we have that they don't. Don't you think that's more important than worrying about the government overreaching? I don't know. It just seems so obvious to me.
No, I agree. Some people would argue that using hindsight here, but I mean,
well, I am.
I agree with you 100%. And I remember, like, one of the things that has stuck with me this entire coronavirus thing. I'm pretty sure I've brought it up on the podcast. Is like, when we first started getting wind of it, like real like public wind of it back in March. I remember listening to a pandemic guy, a doctor. And he was talking like on another podcast about how this was before it was declared a pandemic. It was when it was still in the beginning stages and before it like I guess reached the numbers to where they can declare it a pandemic. And he's like, if they just made policy right now that everyone stays home for the next 2 weeks, it'll go away.
Yeah, even 2 weeks probably. I mean, yeah. I would guess even like a month or maybe even 2 months. I mean, that's also in using hindsight. I know. I'm not saying like I'm a genius for saying this. I'm just saying
it before us. Like he was using foresight because he's.
Well, and the thing is like you could still intervene in a similar way now, except it would just have to be way longer than 2 weeks or 2 months. It'd probably have to be like 6 months.
I'm just the ball.
Spitballing here. I'm just guessing, but like it's so widespread that.
Well, at this point, I think even with vaccines, it never goes away.
I mean, the vaccines are not going to solve everything. Not in the quick amount of time that people imagine they're going to. Not in this fucking ridiculous way that Nancy Pelosi is lying about and saying like, well, we're going to have a new president soon, so we don't need to worry about giving people checks after the next month. So like she's literally giving people a check to get through January, and then Joe Biden's going to be in office. That's like literally, that's what she's saying when she says that. When she says like, this is a first step, and then she doesn't say what the second step is, except to like very vaguely state something about, well, Biden's going to be in office, and then therefore everything will be better because he listens to science, which is absurd. Like, even if Joe Biden was my favorite person, was an actual genius, was a socialist genius that I loved and voted for, I still wouldn't be on the side of absurdity of saying, well, Joe Biden's going to step into office in January, and therefore everything's magically going to be different.
Yeah, he's going to challenge the coronavirus to a push-up contest.
And even I just saw a quote from him, and this is him just like, getting our expectations low. He's like, we need to prepare for dark times and all this stuff, which is true, but it's also like, well, what are you going to do about it? There are things you could do about it that you're deliberately not going to do.
Well, he said he's not. He said something about the economy, not shut down the economy, right?
Yeah. Well, here's how you. Anyway, I feel like I'm going in circles here, but you can save the economy, the precious economy, and still shut down business. You just pay people to stay home. It's that simple. Well, where's the money going to come from? I don't know. Look at all the fucking absurd amounts of money we waste everywhere else.
Some people say that, money is just something the government makes. They can literally just print more of it.
Yeah, and then other people say, but inflation, what about inflation?
Doesn't work like that.
I know. I know it doesn't.
World War II.
But some people think it does still. So, yeah. Anyway, there were a couple other like almost just absurd, laughable things too that are being passed through this giant spending bill. That is, I mean, here's the thing: is that the HEROES Act part of it, the coronavirus relief part of this larger bill, is what is letting this thing slip by without people in general noticing all of the nefarious shit inside of it, including the $500 million to Israel for a missile defense.
I'm just
program.
guessing though. Had the coronavirus stuff not been taped on it, the bill would not have been newsworthy, and it might have just like passed without anyone ever knowing about it.
Well, yeah, you're right, but that also isn't good. Like, I mean, like the people that would vote for that, I would say, suck.
Yeah.
But now it's like, well, they have this. It makes it more convenient for them in a way. Is like, well, I had to vote to get all of this wonderful coronavirus shit through. So I had to vote for Israel's defense fund and blah, blah, blah. And for what was the thing you were getting pissed about? And I mean, I'm not happy about it either, but, the streaming thing?
Making streaming a felony. It's bad. It's not as bad as I
illegal streaming a felony.
Yeah. So I guess the way it's worded, it will really only like, they wouldn't be able to like charge you a felony. Like say if you were watching a streaming video,
but they could charge the people hosting it. Maybe
they could charge the people hosting it, which is originally when I first read it before looking into it, I thought they could just like charge whoever. But I guess that's just making it easier to charge the host. But honestly, it shouldn't be in there because it's like a bit, just like slammed in there for no reason, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm sure if you dug into where that comes from, it's probably Amazon and Netflix and Disney, all
sure, certainly.
all behind it. But I just thought, was this not illegal already? Like, it's already we already have laws about piracy of like intellectual material, like.
Yeah,
like didn't the guy who started like Pirate Bay go to jail? Or one of the guys who started one of the big torrent sites. I thought it was a Pirate Bay, but
he was sued. He might
just
have went
sued.
to jail.
Okay, I thought somebody actually did prison time. One of the bigger like torrenting sites or something, but
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Maybe
I used to know, but I've forgotten by now.
Yeah, I was relying on you to tell me if that was true or not, or if I just had a fever dream.
The people that run the Pirates Bay have been sued, and they've also been prosecuted at different points. But they made their... there's always going to be other people willing to host it on their servers. Yada yada yada.
Right. It's like it's like the war on drugs for. I mean, it's like the first comparison I can think of is like, you're never going to stamp this out. Like you're just going to hurt people in this like symbolic, these symbolic arrests or whatever.
The easiest way to stamp it out is actually to move devices to more like closed operating systems, like say iOS on an iPhone, to where like there aren't easy ways to torrent or to do piracy. The more closed off they make operating systems, the harder it will be for people to actually partake in illegal activities. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I mean, like they would have there would be a lot of what most people would consider like huge overreach on like.
Yeah, but
technologies.
I mean, they can do it.
I mean, would that mean they'd have to change like what Android is like?
Yeah, but they can do it. I mean, they've slowly been doing it for years now with like lots of like operating systems and technology. I don't know.
Yeah, but yeah, okay. I mean, it still wouldn't stamp it out because there's going to be people who know how to like basically like customize their own operating systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I mean, in any way, there's one last thing about the spending bill, and then let's maybe move on, unless you got something else. But
no, not really.
There's a couple just like weird little things that are in here that I think got a little traction elsewhere, but there was something about like tax deductions for people who own horses. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that. I missed that part.
That's part of it. There's also, it's just like absurdly like just rich people shit. Yeah, I guess that was something McConnell maybe pushed through. Let's see. Owners of thoroughbred race horses, many of whom reside in Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's home state of Kentucky. Oh, I guess that's the only connection.
What, the Kentucky Derby?
Also received special attention in the final deal. The legislation includes a provision to reclassify certain racehorses as 3-year property. blah, blah, blah. It's tax breaks for rich horse people.
Race horses, or you can only own them for 3 years?
I don't really know what that means exactly.
It's weird.
It's just like you can reclassify what the horses are like on paper, which will translate into tax breaks.
I went to a horse race once in Seoul.
How was that?
I actually had a lot of fun, but I got really drunk and gambled away most of my money that day, and I felt really bad for the rest of the month because it was like at the beginning of a month, and I went with like some friends who also got really drunk, and we decided, hey, we know nothing about horse racing. Ooh, we can gamble here. So we bought lots of slips, and then the next day I woke up and I was like, oh fuck, I gotta eat ramen the rest of the month. What did
Jesus.
I do? Why did I do this?
I've always thought I would not like to go to horse or the what is it, the dog racing track.
Yeah, I ended up having a lot of fun, but I think it was just a combination of alcohol. And,
I'm sure if you had been sober, you would have not had fun.
and I won like my first gambling excursion.
Of course.
And I was like, I better do it again.
The brilliant thought of every winner, every gambling winner.
Because that's where my brain went to. I was like, yeah. I mean, if BitTorrent wins, because I think the horse's name was literally BitTorrent. The horses have ridiculous names. Better bet on another one. I haven't been back. That was like 4 years ago. I thought about going back, but then I decided I shouldn't. Interesting part of Seoul life, going to the horse races. There's a subway stop called Seoul Horse Race Track.
Yeah, I always forget that exists until I see it like on the subway map. Yeah.
It's called that because there's a horse race track there. Imagine.
Thanks. Thanks for that. Okay. In even lighter news, this connects with all the stuff we were talking about with vaccines in a way. Well, it totally does. Britain's dangerous new COVID-19 strain. Excellent timing for the vaccines being unveiled. Do you have this one?
Yeah, the one from the WS?
Yeah.
World Socialist Org one?
All right. So, with 1.7 million people already dead worldwide and hospitals overwhelmed. Speaking of that, I saw an article that said that the state of California is completely out of hospital space right now. Really?
I think
I misread
too,
something,
actually.
But I'm pretty sure that's what I saw.
I think I read that too.
And I know, like you said in Tennessee, I think California's also basically run out of morgue space. If they haven't, they're close.
I think all of America's
like basically they're
space.
at like full capacity of hospital beds in California right now.
Great
scientist. Go what?
I was just going to say it's probably a great time to be an entrepreneur and open a morgue.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, this is what we talked about the other day with the BDS guys. Was I wonder what companies might be supplying those mobile morgue units. I'm sure it's not state funded, but that's for another day, I guess.
The same companies that do like refrigerated food services.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. So scientists are sounding the alarm about a new, more infectious strain of COVID-19 that has emerged in Britain and is leading to a major surge in infections there. The new strain of COVID-19 is believed to be responsible for the doubling of daily new COVID-19 cases in the UK this month. The country recorded 35,000 new cases on Sunday, its highest ever, up from an average of just 15,000 2 weeks before. The massive spread of this new strain of COVID-19 stands as yet another indictment of the Johnson government's reckless and criminal response to the pandemic. By abandoning all efforts to eradicate the virus, the government left the population vulnerable and exposed to a deadly threat the consequences of which are still unknown. I saw something the other day, someone just writing very simply, the UK is the United States of the European Union.
Yeah, I saw something like that too.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely handling things way worse than any other country in Europe. Not quite. Although, no, in this article, it points out that, because you and I have talked about, like...
Do you think that the UK should be held to the same standard as China?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. And I mean, China got a lot of shit for, not bringing coronavirus to the international community faster, even though it only took them a week. But from what I understand, the UK's known about this for like a month and is doing nothing about it. And after China actually got their stuff together and figured out what was going on, they actually handled things really quickly. But everyone gives China shit for this.
Yeah,
Why
because
are
they
people
also
giving the UK shit about this.
Well, because they want to blame China for like starting the problem to begin with, which is bogus for a number of reasons. But I mean, okay, even if worst case scenario, China intentionally started this whole thing, that's fucked up, right? But that doesn't excuse the way the world is the majority of the world is mishandling it, I should say. Like Boris Johnson from the beginning was like, herd immunity, let's let it. I mean, this article gets into some of that, so why don't I just keep reading a little bit? It also gets into the thing you were talking about how long they knew that this was a problem and just lied about it over and over again.
It's okay for London to do it, not China though.
Right. Yeah. Well, they have state-run media. Well, so does England. So what?
So does America.
Yeah, we do. It's just not called that technically. That's what's so funny when people say that. Like, it makes us like this beacon of freedom. We let the market sort things out. Okay. The new strain appears to be 70%. Let's let that sink in. 70% more infectious than the variants currently spreading throughout Europe and America.
That's a lot.
There is, as of now, no evidence that the new vaccinations will not be effective against this strain. Okay, but there's also no evidence that they will be effective. Mm-hmm. While the new variant of the disease was first detected in September, by November, a quarter of new cases in London were attributed to it. By mid-December, this had reached 3/4 of all new cases. By making it into every part of the UK, the new variant has already spread to the Netherlands, Denmark, and Australia, according to the World Health Organization. The new variant is out of control, UK Health Secretary Matt Hancock said. This new variant is very concerning and is unlike anything we've seen so far in the pandemic, Jeffrey Barrett, director of the COVID-19 Genomics Initiative at the Wellcome Sanger Institute, told the Financial Times. On Saturday, Professor John Edmonds, an epidemiologist and member of the government's Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, or SAGE, committee, described the emergence of the new strain as the worst moment of the whole pandemic as far as I'm concerned. He warned of the extraordinary infectivity of the new strain. Edmonds urged we will need much more severe measures to bring the incidence down. Worse than that, we are starting from a very high incidence already with hospitals stretched and the NHS staff under strain. It is a very perilous situation. So this is pretty bad, folks. And I feel like it's only a matter of time before it reaches America if it hasn't already.
I'm sure it has.
Yeah. On Sunday, countries throughout Europe and the world announced they would no longer admit travelers from Britain, including Austria, Belgium, Italy, Ireland, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. On Saturday, Johnson introduced a new Tier 4 level of restrictions affecting 16.4 million people, including around 9 million people in all 32 London boroughs and much of southeast England. From what I understand, this level 4 thing is really not even that harsh of a shutdown. I think they go into that more here too. Sorry, I won't read the whole thing, but there's the part I want to get to is about how long they knew about it. Okay. The new variant of COVID-19 involves mutations in the structure of the virus. Barrett noted that 23 letters of the virus's genetic code had changed, including 17 that could potentially impact the way the virus behaves and spreads. Okay, so it has mutated in a really serious way. I guess all we really need to know is it's 70% more infectious. Also, here's the other problem with not shutting these strains down, like when they begin, is that there's so much virus in the world now, spreading fast, increasing likelihood of random mutations. Is the new mutant in the US? Who knows? So, like, basically, the longer these things are allowed to keep growing, like, the more likely it is that new variants are going to keep coming out of them. The emergence of this deadly new strain underscores the criminal irresponsibility of the Johnson government and its herd immunity policy in response to the pandemic. In March, Sir Patrick Vallance, the government's chief scientific advisor, stood alongside Johnson and declared, "It's not possible to stop everyone getting it, and it's also not desirable." This was in March, I should stress again. This was back in March. On March 5th, Johnson outlined his government's response to the pandemic by saying, "Perhaps you could take it on the chin. Take it all in one go and allow the disease, as it were, to move through the population without taking as many draconian measures." Oh, the safety measures are draconian. Not letting the bodies pile up.
Bring out your dead. Bring out
exactly.
your dead.
So Jeremy Corbyn, one voice of sanity over there, explained that in March he was briefed by the British government that its aim was to, quote, build up herd immunity by allowing people to die, a policy that was justified through what he called eugenic formulas. Corbyn kept silent about the government's homicidal intentions for 6 months. Oh.
Did he?
That's what it says here.
I don't know. I don't follow England that well.
I mean, I think it's a pretty easy thing to figure out. Like, if he had made a public statement about it, it'd probably be easy to find. That's weird. I guess that's kind of a side issue, though. Something to think about with Corbyn. I just called him the only sane person, and he was sitting on this information for 6 months.
4 months. 4 months ago. He at least made comments about it 4 months ago. Would that have been 6 months into it? I don't know. 5 months into it. Doesn't matter. I think that he still might be one of the voices of sanity there.
Yeah. In any case, so the result of this policy, this herd immunity policy, has been a disaster. Nearly 70,000 people are dead in the UK. The country has per capita mortality rate even higher than the United States. See, we talked about this before, and I just want to be factual on our show. So we've said, I think, just kind of assumingly, that the U.S. has the highest rate per capita, and I did actually look it up later, and it's not true. Like, even Belgium has a higher rate per capita than us.
I don't think I realized that. I just assumed that we did.
Yeah, because we have such in raw numbers. I mean, that's not really a defense of the United States handling at all. It's just we have so many fucking people. The UK is in any case, right? They're like on a per capita way, they're worse than the U.S. at this point.
Okay. With
in terms of mortality rate, not I don't know about an infection rate and such, but so, and now a year after the pandemic first emerged, it is spreading, in the words of the government, out of control in the form of a new strain of the disease. Oh, that last part, though, they're per capita mortality rate is 50% higher than Europe, like as a continent.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. For weeks, and remember, just the other day, I read the thing about how, Germany's hit like 1,000 deaths per day. And yet England is like 50% worse per capita. Okay, here's the last bit. For weeks, the Johnson government has sought to use the rollout of COVID-19 vaccines, which will become available to the general public within a matter of months, to distract attention from its total failure to take any serious measures to contain the disease. The media is happy to play along, seeking to drown out the constantly rising death rate with nonstop coverage of the vaccine rollout. Johnson claimed Saturday that, quote, the situation has deteriorated since I last spoke to you 3 days ago.
I feel like the American media is doing the same thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's part of the reason I was kind of like losing my shit a little bit when we were talking about vaccines a couple of weeks ago or a couple shows ago, whenever that was, is because I feel like it's largely being used as a kind of like an opiate, like a distraction, a way to just like let people turn off their brains about everything else.
I think the vaccine's good though. I mean, it's good that it was made.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying
it doesn't solve all the problems.
It doesn't solve the immediate problems, that's for sure. Like it doesn't give Nancy Pelosi a reason to say we don't need to worry about what happens next month because we're giving you a $600 check for this month, and so on.
But I'll get 9 months later.
Yeah.
Because I'm at the bottom of the list, apparently.
We'll see.
I wonder if I was the last person to receive this check. It'd be cool to find out that I was like the last person.
You're not. So you can look up right now that people still haven't gotten their checks.
Oh, that's sad.
Johnson claimed Saturday the situation has deteriorated since I last spoke to you 3 days ago. The day he declared that there would be no retreat from plans for shops to open 24 hours a day and for, quote, bubbles of 3 households to meet for 5 days over Christmas. The government had first learned about the new strain earlier this week, he added. Okay, this was very recently. This was, why doesn't it say when it was? It was in December. It was very recently. These are barefaced lies. The government spent the last week stonewalling demands from scientists to abandon its deadly plans, and it even threatened several London local authorities with legal action for planning to close schools 3 days before the official end of term to prevent a further spike in infections. Why? Well, let's find out why. Moreover, Maria van Kerkhove, COVID-19 technical lead at the WHO, told the BBC on Sunday that the UK had been aware of the new viral strain circulating in southeast England since September. And he'd said, oh, I just heard about it last week. Anyway, I guess that's not surprising, but it's worth knowing. Or maybe it's not worth knowing. Maybe it's better just to not know anything.
Maybe had no one ever
Let's make our podcast about video games and music and stop talking about this shit.
Had no one known about the coronavirus, then...
Are you just about to say what I think you're about to say?
People would have just died peacefully.
Yeah, choking on their fucking lungs as their lungs come crawling up their throat.
As doctors were told not to say, well, it's a new virus. Just tell them it's the flu.
Yeah, what you don't know can't hurt you, right?
Yeah. That's why I think we should get rid of science. Let's stop asking questions and let's stop answering questions. Let's be a society without questions. A society without answers. Never mind.
There's some more good stuff in here.
Michael Bay's movie comes out soon.
What? What is that?
Michael Bay's coronavirus movie.
Really?
Yeah, it comes out soon.
Really?
Yeah. It's reviews.
I think we'll have to cover that on the show.
Reviews have been terrible. They say that it's insensitive.
I didn't even know this was a thing. I'll have to look into that.
The Songbird, that's the name of it. It's got a 27% on Metacritic, 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. I guess it's already out. It came out December 20th. Sorry.
So it just came out?
Yeah, it just came out.
All right. Well, maybe we'll scrap our plans for next week and just talk about that.
It's about a world destroyed by coronavirus.
Huh. I'm very curious about this. I'm sure it will be horrible, but I think it will be interesting at the very least.
An 11%.
Especially since the movie is being made while the pandemic is like raging harder than it ever has. It's not like it's over and he's like assessing what happened. This is the equivalent of fucking Andrew Camus. What do you call it? Andrew Cuomo's fucking stupid book that he wrote, like pretending like it's over. Like, here's my book about how I handled the challenges of the coronavirus. It came out like before it's been at its very worst.
He was so close to being president.
Yeah.
People were dreaming of it. They were dreaming of that Cuomo Fauci presidential run.
They really were, actually, though.
I know.
I heard that there's going to be a march on Jeff Bezos' house. I don't know which house, but I heard that there was going to be one on the 23rd, which is right now.
More than one.
But I can't seem to find any information about that online. All I could find was several articles about previous protests that have been done in front of his apartment in New York, and his absurd, like, I think it's like record-breakingly expensive home in Malibu or something, or somewhere in LA.
Yeah.
And they were small, and they were mostly from like Amazon workers, trying to get like meager things like better pay and, safer working conditions. But I heard there was going to be another one, and I see no news of it anywhere, though, so maybe it's a rumor. I don't know.
Maybe it was canceled because of coronavirus.
I mean, could well be. We got a couple other things here on the docket, but let's push them to another episode, maybe.
Yeah.
I think I would like to mention, let's mention something kind of nice, kind of cool. Did you hear about the Great Conjunction?
What's the Great Conjunction?
It's this rare celestial event where Jupiter and Saturn align.
Okay, I knew they were aligning. I didn't know that was called the Great Conjunction.
It's called the Great Conjunction, and it won't happen again until 2080. Or rather, I think it happens every 20 years.
I heard about it from a very conservative member of my family who sent me a conspiracy theory about how everything happening in the world is connected to the alignment. And the conspiracy theory came from that new conservative Facebook that I suddenly forgot the name of, Parler. And I looked at it for a few seconds. I was like, "Oh, Uncle, why are you a key person?"
You should just send him a bunch of real frou-frou hippie-ish horoscope stuff, things, and see if he likes that as well, because it's on the same level of lack of evidence.
I mean, maybe I should have just been telling all my family members that Bernie was a secret agent of Q, and that he was the person we needed to get into office to fix the world.
Yeah, it could have helped.
Maybe.
So the more significant thing about this particular Great Conjunction, because apparently they happen every 20 years, is that this one is closer to Earth than it's been since the 1200s. And I did see a picture of it because it already happened, so if you wanted to see it in real time, it's too late, guys. But One picture I saw was really cool. It's like so close, and it doesn't look like it was taken through, like some sort of special, like a high end like telescope.
Yeah.
And you can actually see the rings around Saturn, like with the naked eye. It's kind of cool. Yeah. So anyway, that's the best I can do for good news.
The only good news I have, and I haven't looked this up very much beyond just seeing some headlines today, I guess because humans use so many radio waves that we've created a new protective barrier around Earth that helps keep space radiation out. Which
interesting.
Is apparently a good thing. I can't tell you much more than that, though.
Although I remember like all of the terror that began when cell phones first started to take off.
Well, some people still think 5G is the reason we have coronavirus.
That's so insane. But like cell phones do emit radiation, but like almost everything has some level of radiation in it. It's just a matter of like how high that level is, you know?
Yeah, you got like cell phones, which are low, and you've got Spider-Man, which is super high.
I just remember like seeing on the news, like even as maybe a kid or something, like people saying like, oh, we're all going to get brain tumors from these cell phones. And
yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah.
Maybe we all have brain tumors.
This has all just been a fever dream from a brain tumor.
It would explain a lot.
Yeah, I guess we could probably leave it there. I feel like I'm leaving something out though, but I guess not.
No, I think we've covered everything.
All right.
Everything to be covered.
I mean, we've left things out, but whatever. It's cool.
It's okay. Should we make some quick recommendations or?
Yeah. Very cute family of cats outside my window right now. I had to see.
Oh, that's cool.
They're very tiny. Hey, one just threw them some. What is that? Sardine?
Sardines.
I don't know. Some little frozen fish.
G. So what's my recommendation? My recommendation is do nothing for Christmas. Don't celebrate it this year. Don't see your family. Don't. Just don't. Christmas is off. New Year's is off too. That's my recommendation. Cancel all of your plans. No holiday plans. For you people with holiday plans, quit them. Stop. What's your recommendation, Josh? Wait, I'm supposed to recommend something good.
No, I mean, that's whatever you want to do. Go ahead.
Heated blankets are really nice. It's cold out. Get an electric blanket. You'll thank yourself. Turn it up way hot. So hot that it burns you while you're sleeping.
Interesting pair of recommendations.
Thank you.
Cancel your plans and burn yourself with an electric blanket. That's how I'm going to write it in the notes.
Yeah. Take the plastic protective covering off the electric blanket and just wrap the heating wire right around your body.
Okay. I like the first one. I'm not planning on really leaving the house since I think legally we're not even really supposed to in a way. Although like a lot of stuff is still open. Like this idea that you can't have 5 people together.
I mean, Yane had to go to our office building today.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it's not really true. They're saying it, but it's, I don't know, it doesn't, they don't enforce the laws in this country, at least not a lot of them. Anyway, I'm going to recommend a documentary film. It's pretty well known, but I'm going to recommend it anyway, because it was on a big list I made, and it was one of the only things left, so I got to start making a new list. Anyway, it's called Grizzly Man. Did you ever see the Werner Herzog documentary Grizzly Man?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's been a long time.
Same here.
Like 2012 or something?
It came out in 2005.
Wow, it's even older than I thought.
Yeah, I probably watched it around that time. And it's great. I mean, Werner Herzog is a great filmmaker. I would say especially his documentaries, but I like his regular fictional films as well too.
Great documentaries.
But yeah, this documentary about a grizzly bear enthusiast named Timothy Treadwell. Yeah, Herzog got a lot of footage that he shot of himself going up to Alaska and getting like dangerously close to grizzly bears and like developing this like really unhealthy sort of fixation on like and this okay thing is that this guy is like kind of is very sympathetic as well, and he's obviously got some like mental health issues.
Yeah.
I remember specifically there's one scene in the movie, and I don't think I've rewatched it. I just saw it the one time back when the movie came out like 15 years ago. But I remember being like kind of moved at certain points. Like one of them was when he's just going on this kind of rant to his camera, and you can kind of see some bears in the distance behind him, and he starts crying and stuff about like how much he cares for these animals and doesn't want to see them like hunted or killed by like changing climate and things like that. And yeah, so he was like, he was delusional in a lot of ways. Like he thought that like the bears would not treat him like they would treat any other sort of creature that would get in their space, and he would get in their space.
He believed that they could sense his intentions were good. Yeah.
And some of the footage is crazy. Some of the footage where, he doesn't get hurt and he does get very close to them is really remarkable to see. But, and this isn't really a spoiler. I think, especially now, 15 years later, I think most people know what the big event is in the documentary, which is that he and his girlfriend at the time were killed by a grizzly bear. And there's actually an audio recording of it happening, which you see Werner Herzog listening to on headphones, and you just kind of see his facial, reaction. And he says something to the effect of like, no one should ever hear that, something to that degree.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just very good. It's a very good documentary. And I think maybe I haven't rewatched it because it is like kind of it's fairly sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It's heavy.
But the guy was also like, this kind of eccentric, funny guy as well too. So there's moments of like levity in it as well, even though he's kind of like he's just being like manic when he's like being funny. But in any case, good movie, and I recommend it. And that's that. So you got to go to work soon, eh?
I do. Yesterday we worked at home. It was great.
Yeah, you got your first taste of the homework life.
And today I have to go to the office to do exactly what I did at home yesterday.
Ridiculous. Well, at least you'll be back home on Thursday, right?
That's true. Working on Christmas Eve. Hard-working American. But I am. Okay.
Yep.
Should we say Merry Christmas? Merry Christmas. Don't celebrate it.
I didn't even think of that. Sure.
Don't fucking celebrate Christmas.
Happy holidays. Celebrate them at home by your lonesome if you must.
Exactly.
All right.
Goodbye.
See ya.
Dolphins can swing. Though nothing will keep us together. We can beat them forever and ever.
The first voice recording was made in 1860. It was a 10-second fragment of the French folk song Au clair de la lune recorded by inventor Edward Léon Scott de Martinville. But who will make the final voice recording and when? What will it be? Who will hear it?